Techthusiasm live podcast.
That's what I call an entrance.
Time to go live.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Monday. Monday, October 27th, 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern, Techthusiasm Live podcast. I appreciate folks coming to hang out today. Pretty normal podcast today. No super special topics. Kind of catch up on the status of the project. Major progress, thankfully, in the last week on the living room stuff as we move forward. I've also been researching some NASAs in the last week as well. So use on that for a little while. And yeah, just kind of hang out, have some fun. Folks coming in, of course, if you have, let me know who's out there, say hello. Let me know if you've done anything interesting in your home theater setup, in your AV systems in the last week. Let me know what's going on there. And if you have any questions, topics, and any of that sort of stuff as well, please go ahead and post those into the chat also. So I hope everybody's having a good fall. Fall's pretty much set in here now, I think, for real in Southeast Michigan. Borderline cold. We turned the heat on. I don't know when everybody else to turn their heat on. We finally broke down. It was over the weekend, I think, Saturday. It might have been Saturday. We actually turned the heat on. Fireplace was turned on last week, midweek, I think, and the heat went on Saturday. But I'm loving it. I like the cooler temperatures, enjoying the apple cider. We did a pumpkin patch visit this past weekend, got our pumpkins for Halloween, solved the corn maze, and found all the hidden things in the corn maze with some friends. Good time doing that. Good time carving up the pumpkins Saturday night. Working here towards our Halloween party. The town I live in is huge for Halloween. In the area in Southeast Michigan here, all of October is basically like a Halloween spectacular. In my town, the downtown area, it has skeletons all over the place, and it's all decorated. There's like street activities going on the weekends all the time, and it's like it's a core home for trick or treating. So probably on Friday, I would guess we'll see 150 to 200 or so trick or treaters, and that's light. We don't even live in the heaviest part of the neighborhood. So, but we had a good time with that. My daughter's soccer team won their first game of the season. They've stepped up in their competition a couple of levels, and it's been some rough goings. They'd had some ties and some close games. They hadn't gotten a W yet, but they were able to do that on Saturday, so that was pretty exciting as well for the weekend. And then hanging out, playing through the Marvel Champions new expansion with my son, and spent a good portion of the day, Saturday morning and a Saturday afternoon, working on the home theater project. So we'll get into that. So again, hello and welcome everybody. Hey Julius, hey Terminator, hey guys. Thanks for coming out. Thanks to everybody else that's here as well. Again, drop a shout out. Let me know who's there. Let me know what's been going on in your AV setups and stuff in the last week. And of course, I'll mention early on, as we get through Halloween, pretty quickly into November, we're into borderline into holiday, Christmas season and all that stuff. If I can help anybody out there going into the end of the year with your end of year system upgrades, your Christmas gifts, right, whatever it may be, let me know. Please reach out, Jeremy at techthusiasm.net. Go to the webpage, www.techthusiasm.com. I'm working on some things still, some things that I can't fully announce yet, but there is some business happenings and dealings and whatnot going on. I did put up a community post the other day that I was able to pick up Epson as well. So I can access now all three of the major projector brands between Sony, JVC, and Epson. Of course, I personally have long used and recommend and like JVC, but I understand why people choose all the different brands and such that are out there. So if anybody's looking for Epson projectors and stuff, I can now access those as well. All right, so living room progress. Going into the end of the week, of course, the big problem was the trim. What were we going to do for the baseboard trim? And so we had I think I had mentioned last week we had gotten the quote to have the trim fabricated was going to cost like $650 for one 10-foot piece of trim, and it was going to take 6 weeks to get it. That is not a price that I wanted to pay, and not a length of time that I wanted to wait. And so we made the decision basically that we were going to just steal from the theater room down here. So all around the theater room, of course, I have these baseboard like style curtains. And the front wall, I can't even see any of the baseboard trim in the front wall. Along the side walls, I see like maybe the bottom inch to an inch and a half, depending on where the curtain falls. Same for the back. And so we were thought about taking from the front wall, but then I realized, oh shoot, my channels, I have those stick-on, I'm going to forget the name. They come from Home Depot. If you go to Home Depot and you look at like the cable routing solutions and the channels, Legrand, I think that's what they're called actually. Those white Legrand channels that stick on the wall and then they pop open. You can put your cables in them and clip them closed. That's what I have running surface mount under my curtains around the theater room down here. And I had stuck the lower section of Legrand tubes real close to the baseboard trim. So to peel the baseboard trim off, they got to get in there with a chisel. They got to hammer it down in there and kind of pry it off. And there was no clearance to be able to do that with the space available on the front wall. So it's like, oh, shoot. And it was going to be more of a hassle as well. I would have had to completely move 2 subwoofers out of the way, move 4 corner bass straps out of the way, pin up the curtains and get the curtains and stuff out of the way. Then I realized over here on this, on my left-hand side, actually, I probably can even show this a little bit. If we can see, there we can see that little piece of baseboard trim poking out there. That's not white, it's unfinished. That's the piece we stole. So that section of the wall was about 11 feet long, and we needed to harvest about a 10-foot, 3-inch section of trim. And so the other nice thing was that we felt pretty secure that was going to be a single piece. So that would allow for a single piece to go up on the front of the living room as well. So that's where we took the one. I only had to move the corner traps out of that corner. I just disconnected the back left subwoofer and kind of shifted it over to the side a little bit, gave them good clearance, didn't have to move the chairs. And so they were able to knock that trim off. So they came Saturday. They did that. So the crown is installed. The crown is installed. All the baseboard is installed. We measured out and cut the holes for the speakers. We're going to basically take the IW sub Utopia Focal module in the bottom, and then the Utopia LCR will just sit right on top of it. They'll be meshed together in the same opening. That's a 67-inch tall speaker opening. It looks crazy here, and I can probably share this actually. Let me grab my Photos app here. And if I show what we're looking at right now, yeah, do a little bit of this, do a share screen, window, let's share photos, boom. So there we are. That's the current state of the wall, basically right now. And looking good. So again, the crown's up there. That was new material. That was leftover material from our original construction. We did have to seam it, so there is a seam right here. The bottom piece, again, come out of this room, and then the side pieces. They ended up cutting the side pieces basically out of what they took off, the old piece that they took off from the unwarped sections, and then we cut these speaker sections out. I think there's a little. The speakers are right in the middle. I think this needed to be done a little more deliberately, but it is what it is. I did set the speakers in, and they worked okay. We had to kind of do a little bit of shearing here and there on the fit of the speakers. I think I did a better job. I was hoping that they would do a better job. They'd have a better cutting tool, because when I cut all of my openings for my speakers, the in-wall speakers and stuff, I use a Dremel, and I bought a like side cutting drywall bit, and I use my laser level and in the templates that comes with the speakers, draw the lines, and then I just hand do it, have somebody hold the vacuum, so that sucks up all the excess drywall, and I can make pretty nice straight cuts. I don't know what tool they used. Unfortunately, they were working on stuff, and then my wife and daughter were going at that soccer game. I was here with them. My son had to go to his coding class, and so I had to leave, and they made the cuts while I was gone. I gave them all the dimensions, I gave them all the details, and then I had to go, and then I came back, they made the cuts. And so I think that that step in the process went a little fast. But it's not a problem. It's not like bad cuts were made or it's not going to work out in any way. But that's like the one element of the project that I would really have been super meticulous about, like getting absolutely straight and incorrect. And I think that's the one that went a little bit quick, unfortunately. But in any case, they'll fit. And yeah, it's like standing next to the openings, standing next to that speaker stack is pretty insane. 67 inches tall for 5 feet. I'm 5'10", so it's almost as tall as I am, as tall as my wife. And then we did drill out this little hole on the side here as well. So that's where the side plate will come out, or the plate will go on, and the fiber optic HDMI connection will be. So then there'll be a little 3-foot cable going from there up into plugging into the PC, assuming that I continue to stand the PC up in the living room on the side of the bump out, which I think is what I'm very likely to end up doing. So it all worked. The one thing I was afraid of, we take the trim out, it wasn't going to go on properly. Something else was going to go wrong. And then now we've decimated other material and we're running low on material. There's really nowhere else to take it from except this room, but it worked out okay. And I did buy the stuff that's on the wall down here now. It does not look the same. It has a lower solid section that's about the same height as the flat section of our current trim. Then it goes into a different type of curvy profile. But again, that will all be obscured over there behind the curtains. So it's pretty well okay. It'll never be visible and noticeable. And for all intents and purposes as well, I still think I'm probably on maybe something like a 3-year plan to potentially like take this room down to the studs and then really refactor it and rebuild it into like a super pro home theater install. So yeah, that was it. After they were done, then I pulled out basically pulled up the paper that was kind of protecting the floor. It's been sitting there for the better course of the last few weeks. Mopped everything up, cleaned it up. So we're done with like any of the dirty work now. So painting should be clean. No more dust, no more cutting and hammering, no more tearing stuff apart and so on. So we're good with that. So clean. I actually had our cleaners come today as well. So everything is nice and dusted, and the construction film and debris that kind of you could feel everywhere and stuff is clean and gone. The painter came towards the end of last week, looked at the project, understood what was in the original spec, and then there's a few other things while we're doing this that need to be kind of tended to in general. So waiting for some information. I was waiting for some information back from him. I was really, really hoping, I was pushing the guys to really try to see, like, can you please come Monday? Like painting was expected to be a 2-day job. Day one to basically prime and maybe even get like a first coat on some of the surfaces and stuff. The whole ceiling needs to be repainted to integrate because such a big section had to be kind of filled in. So there's a little more to do than just paint the bump out of the wall. But they're presuming 2 days. So it's like, please, if you can, if your schedule allows, come Monday, Tuesday. If we can make it Monday, Tuesday, that would be amazing. Then I would have Wednesday, Thursday to put the equipment back in, not have to rush. I could film it, do everything that I want to do with that, and have a workable operating system for our Halloween party on Friday. But it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. So the availability that I was given now is Wednesday. So if Wednesday, Thursday are the painting days, I'm not going to be able to do equipment for the Halloween party. The wall will be clean. The room will be clean. The wall will be finished. It will be painted, but there's no way that I can get the stuff back up there because I don't want to put the speakers in while the paint's still curing. Probably want to give it at least a full day between application and putting the stuff in. Otherwise, the paint will dry to the back, right, the back of the speaker, the back overhang of the speakers on the wall, stuff like that. I don't want to do that that way, because if I ever need to take them out, then it's going to stick. It's going to tear the drywall, paper, front piece and stuff. So anyway, so that's fine. So I presume then next weekend will be the gear install, which will be fine. I can take my time then, Saturday and or Sunday. I'll have plenty of time, hopefully, to be able to tend to that, get everything set up, film it all appropriately. I definitely want to like film the process of how does the Focal stuff come together? How does the sub module come together with the speaker? How are we doing it? How are we amplifying it, connecting things? Got to rerun Arc Genesis and stuff, which will actually be really fast because in the past, when I did Arc Genesis in here, it had to do all the steps for the subwoofers, the two speakers and the two subwoofers independently. But I'm going to start, I think, still with one single mono, treating it as one big full range speaker, and we'll go from there. So the calibration side of things will actually be pretty quick, especially compared to like the theater where you're waiting for it to cycle through like speaker after speaker after speaker. So it's exciting. It looks nice. It really looks so much better fully flat rather than having the goofy kind of bump out section that we used to have at the top. Now we'll be able to hang some pictures or some art or something, at least up along the top there potentially. I don't want to put something too obtrusive up there because I want to be kind of like looking at the TV, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So I just hit some of these comments and kind of keep musing through these topics that I have set up here for today. Julia's saying, no, I'm trying to hold out, not turning the heat on until November. Got another week. Yeah, we're getting chilly. We're in the 30s. Yeah, low tonight, 35. So, and I'm the warmest one in the house. So I think by far, my wife runs very cold. So I was going to lose the battle of the thermostat in this case, no matter what, which is fine as long as I win it in the summer. We turn the air conditioning on when it's legit time to do so. So Lawless, hello, welcome. I haven't chatted in a while. Hi there. Terminator. I have two cats. Have to turn the heat on as soon as the house drops below 66. Yeah, we still have one. Completely lost. You mess with the new Control 4 system and HomeKit. Yeah, I need to. It's on my list. It's on my list of many things to do still. I'm updated. So I'm all updated, and let's see. No, I can't show. It's got my address and stuff, but I'm running X4 and all that stuff. And I have been wanting to, I do want to play around with the HomeKit integration. Actually, we'll talk a little bit about this maybe more when I get to the NAS, some of the NAS research that I was doing in the last week. But so long story short, I haven't done anything, but I very much want to. So I want to be able to use Apple Voice Control. My main thing is I want to be able to use Apple Voice Control to control elements around the house, turn the fireplace on and off, manage the lights and stuff like that. So that's what I'm looking to do with it. Deben is asking, have you decided on the TCL yet? So I was just going to mention that. That's next on my list. So my LG, here, let me clear my throat. My LG G2 OLED is officially for sale, and I will sell it if the right buyer. I will sell it if the right buyer and the right opportunity comes along for sure. I'm not going to gouge anybody on it, but I do want to try to get a fair amount for it, or a fair market, reasonable market value amount for it. Has to be pickup Southeast Michigan. I don't think we're going to do any type of shipping for it. So if anybody out there is watching this and you'd like to get a great price, a great deal on an LG 83-inch G2, and you can get to the greater Detroit area, it's available. So I think I already listed it to the channel community page. I listed on Facebook Marketplace, and I put up just a general Facebook post to my friends network and the local community garage sale group. And I tagged my wife as well to her friends network also. So the stance that I'm taking is if it sells, then I'm going to get the 98-inch TCL QM9K. I have verified that. I have it lined up and ready to go. I think what I was told was I could have it within about a week. I think it was about a week lead time, or 10 days. 10 days out from when we order. So that's it. So, but I'm hesitant right now. I don't have enough like free cash flow in the kitty to proactively do it. So I would really like it while also trying to save money for other projects. And I have all this other stuff that I still need to sell as well to kind of restore some of the business and retained earnings and cash flow and whatnot. So I need to sell these full cals. I have the pair of IW LCR6s available for sale. Happy to take an offer, drop the price from my original listing on those. I have the two Triad bronze 10-inch subwoofers plus the rack amp 300s that go with them. Everything's brand new in original boxes. I did sell the long watt box, the 12 outlet 820. I have two of the watt box small 2 outlet 20 amp 820 units still available. And then I got to go through more of the room there. But so I need to sell that stuff. So the last thing that I need to do right now is be buying more equipment that does the same function as some equipment that I already have without first selling what I already have. And so that's the situation with the TV. I really would like to have a buyer secured for the LG before making the commitment to buy the TCL. So I'm still intending to do some other things into 2026 also. But if something can happen with this LG to TCL thing, let's say within the next 2 weeks, that gives me probably what will be I'm guessing a good 5 to 6 months, probably, maybe longer, depending on availability, before something like the 2026 G6 OLED becomes fully available to get my hands on. So I'm good spending a little bit out of pocket to have the TCL for a while, have the bigger size for a while, experience the TCL, make some content about the TCL and be able to comment on it and give my take and experience firsthand going from OLED to that. And then, see actually is do I feel it's really good enough, especially for the money, that I'm not drawn back to wanting the 97-inch OLED, or do I go back in that direction in a few months from now? So that's it really. It's completely predicated on hopefully finding a buyer and making the sale so that TV goes, and then the new one can come in. So if I can make that happen in the next 2 weeks, it's really my operative goal. And again, selling the other thing I don't want to have is I don't want to buy another TV and then have this 83-inch just sitting somewhere, because I don't really have a good place to put it. It's just sitting in my foyer right now. It's safe. It's kind of like leaned up against our stairwell, so nothing is getting to the screen side of it, and it's kind of behind a desk that we've had temporarily sitting in our foyer for too long. But that stuff needs to move and change, and I don't want it sitting for an extended period of time. The risk and everything just isn't worth it. So either I want to move it right away, or if it doesn't move and whatever, or the price just isn't close enough to what I need to spend to get the 98 TCL, then it is what it is. I'll just run the G2 for a while, and we'll make one hop towards the big OLED potentially next year rather than 2 hops. Yeah, so we'll see what's going there. Yeah, Will Anderson, only you get it done perfect. Is the only way to get it done perfect is to do it yourself. Yep. Yeah. I debated making those cuts myself, specifically for that reason, because I know that was the part of the project that I was going to be most meticulous about. The seating for those speakers, I wanted it to be snug and square and straight and tight, and it just came out a little wavy. And the other thing, as I mentioned when I was talking to the guys as well, I'm like, okay, we got to drill this hole through on the bottom right hand side, the one that I was showing there just a second ago, right? This hole right here. And so they grabbed a hole saw, and I'm like, dude, that's huge. Like, it doesn't need to be that big. And he's like, oh no, it'll be fine. Like oops, what am I trying to say? The wall plate for the fiber optic thing will cover it up. And it's like, that's so big though. And it doesn't need to be that big. It only needs to be big enough for the middle part of the wall plate where the cable connects to let that sit into the opening. And so it will cover, but it's like, it's going to be real close. And he's like, no, it's good. And he just zipped it right in. It's like, okay, we got to move a little bit slower here. We're moving a little too fast. So yeah, it is what it is. Hey, Finest. Hey there. Hello. Hook us up with some Apple TV news. Whole world was baited into believing greatness was around the corner. Yeah. I think I took some flack because I was the one naysayer about this pass-through audio and all these different things, and now we're waiting. Although I guess we're almost still through October. We did get Apple gear, right? We got a new iPad Pro and some of the MacBooks. I forget which MacBooks they were. Just what was it, like a week and a half ago? No Apple TV in there. So I think there's one more shot in November, and if that doesn't do it, then I don't think we get an Apple TV this year at all. So there may be no news. Could almost somewhat predict no news. I did load the latest betas of the on my Apple TVs, and I didn't notice anything really new or interesting. I think this is new though. Other than the fact that they changed it, right? They I had a good analogy for this, but I forgot what the joke was going to be now. But everything is just Apple TV now. The box, the service, the streaming platform, the app. No more plus. No more trying to differentiate anything. And I did find that let me make sure they did. I think they did overhaul this. So this is like iOS whatever 26 point something, the developer beta. This is the TV app. I think this is very different than the TV app, how it was looking before. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong here, but probably shouldn't do that. Actually, it's still called Apple TV Plus in here too. But I thought they changed this interface. So I feel like they're doing some stuff on the mobile apps. And I do have my Apple TVs have the new icon. It says Apple TV now instead of just Apple TV Plus. So you can subscribe to Apple TV and watch using the Apple TV app on your Apple TV. I think, and there was even like a meme about it or whatever, and like Apple came out and they were defending the decision, saying like that whatever the differentiation wasn't necessary or whatever. So it is what it is. But I've been offline for so long, I haven't even turned anything on or done anything. The living room system has been down for a month now, and I don't think we haven't come down here. Now this room I got a subwoofer disconnected and my bass trap's sitting in front of me right here between me and the screen. So there's been like no audio video enjoyment or content, or hardly any going on around here in the interim while this project has been going on. The only thing that I did really watch lately is I did catch the finale for Peacemaker season 2. So I came down here, watched it down here, and I enjoyed that show. I think I enjoyed that show quite a lot overall. The last episode took a lot of flack, and there's a lot of like weird, I don't know, people like don't just judge a show on its merits. There's like just so much agenda behind everything, like wanting DC to fail or this person to fail or James Gunn to fail and whatnot. But what I've seen of all of the new DC content, I remain pretty entertained by what I watched. And I think Peacemaker season 2 was good as well. I think the cast is superb. And the way they ended it with him in Salvation, not so super spoiler if you don't even know what that means, and set stuff up. And then there was like the comment about like, oh, like there's not going to be a Peacemaker season 3. And there was a lot of contention about like running that down, like, oh, it's a failure, like they're canceling it and whatever. It's like, well, no, it's set up for a whole bunch more storytelling. It's just not going to be Peacemaker season 3. It's going to be Checkmate, or it's going to be something else. But they're not done telling the story with those characters by any means, I think. So especially with the way the season ended and the stuff that was set up. So I was happy with it. I was super entertained by the whole show. Thought it looked great as well. Played great, etc. So I recommend watching it if you want to keep up with the DC universe, the new DC universe movie and TV show content. You really need to watch it. It crosses over out of Superman season 2 in particular, crosses over out of Superman Super Strong, and then is going to set up I think some bigger things that are going to happen in the next like Superman movie and some of the other content to come. I think the bigger question is we'll see what happens if Warner Brothers Discovery gets bought out or like hostily acquired or whatever. But there's the information about basically them officially being in like a public auction phase now, or bidders are being taken. I've seen Netflix mentioned to buy them, Apple mentioned to buy them. Paramount seems to be the strongest rumor. It'd be interesting if Apple picked them up. I think that would really start to position them strong, like Apple as a different type of entertainment company, like positioning against Disney with that type of content and particularly the characters and stuff, presuming that DC and everything related to DC goes with Warner Brothers Discovery or stays with it. But I suppose it could be spun off, or it could be managed separately depending on what actually happens there. But yeah, we'll see. Something that I'm paying attention to because I love the characters, and no matter what happens with all the movies and the media and the ownership rights and stuff like that, I hope that we continue to get strong comic book media representation for these characters going forward, and that doesn't become an afterthought or something that goes the way of the dinosaur or whatever. Especially right now, because like actually in the print comic world, DC is killing it this year. They have an absolute line, which is kind of like a separate type of universe thing that's been super hot. They have some of the hottest artists going right now, and I think there's a lot more comic book excitement around DC than Marvel in this year. So yeah. All right, let's see. Oh, Julie's talking about the TVs here. You may want to wait on getting a new TV. Yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't wait for any one technology. I think that the Dolby Vision 2 stuff is going to be quite a ways away as well. We may see some TVs start to claim support for it into 2026, but the content has to get there as well. And so I've seen a couple of references lately that like what was announced for Dolby Vision 2 wasn't necessarily like a major rollout of the technology. Like literally what's happening is that like the tools are just getting in the hands of the content makers right now. So there might not even necessarily be any type of a content pipeline yet. But yeah, my choices and what I do are also not just driven by like any plan for long-term ownership. It's driven to be able to learn and experience things and make content and be able to have the stuff available to demonstrate and showcase when people want to come see it. So um, if I were a consumer making a long-term purchase, I would consider the sentiment for sure. Like, man, maybe that's a reason to wait for a 2026 TV if the 2026 TVs have them and we're pretty close, and I was going to keep this thing for 5 years or 8 years or 10 years or something, then I would be inclined to do that. But for me, it's not. That's kind of a non-starter. So, I going forward as well, I really want to upgrade. I really want to upgrade the television every year, at a minimum, and then we'll see if I even do, more than that, or if there becomes more of an opportunity to sample and experiment with multiple of the really large format screen releases. So, um, yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. So I don't mind a stopgap because again, I want to be able. I'm really excited actually to try to experience the TCL, and I want to be able to go directly from the OLED ownership experience to the mini LED and see like, oh wow, do I really not like this for some reasons? Do I really feel a drive to want to go back to the OLED or something, or is it actually really nice because there's such a major cost disparity. I mean, if you look at the MSRP, right, $6,000 for TCL QM9K98, $25,000 for LG 97-inch G5. It's insane. 4 times plus the price. And actually, I'm not sure what the street price is on the G597 right now. It probably is less than 25 grand, but I think at Best Buy right now, or the street price anyway of the TCL. So don't go to Best Buy. If you're going to buy one, come to me. I can sell those too. I have access to TCL as a brand, but I think the street price of that set is 5,000. So 5 grand for a 98-inch mini LED flagship television is insane. I paid $6,000 in 2007 for my 57-inch Samsung, my first flat panel, when we moved out to Boston and we couldn't support a projection setup in that anymore. Yeah, 96 grand for a 57-inch television. It was the first like full LED backlit screen. So yeah, so we'll see what happens with that and what Dolby Vision 2 actually means for a lot of different things, because it's going to cascade through a lot. It's not just a display. You got to have the source boxes, probably a new Apple TV. What is Kaleidoscape going to do? Is it going to be streaming only? Is it never going to come out on physical media? So there's a lot of more questions to the chain. What is it going to take to pass Dolby Vision 2 through all of these preamps and receivers and stuff that we have right now? Is that going to work? Is it not going to work? Is it going to come with also some progress in the HDMI standard. A lot of things I think yet to be revealed there. Terminators here. So refreshing to hear a diehard home theater enthusiast talking about movies, TV shows, and the potential Warner Brothers sale. Yeah, sadly, there are a good amount of guys who don't care about movies. No, I mean, I said I care about those characters. I love those characters quite a lot. Like with my son, I largely partake in Marvel. I'm wearing the Batman shirt right now, right? Boom. We partake in we engage, I'd say, and interact with Marvel and Marvel characters quite a bit more than DC, just because I think Marvel does an overall better, complete mixed media representation of their stuff. When Marvel Snap came out as a game, that really got my son engaged. We were playing that together, and so he started to see the characters and get a feel for the characters, and there was like no DC equivalent. And then we got that Marvel Champions game and really getting to kind of like role play the characters and stuff through the card game and build the decks and all that. We're both so into that, and DC doesn't really have an equivalent to that. And then of course we started watching the movies and stuff, but my daughter's more a fan of the movies, but she still read. Even with her, we read Spider-Man was her favorite character. We read from 1960 whatever 3 Spider-Man number 1 up to like Spider-Man 123ish, so about 10 years worth of Spider-Man comic books, the original 10 years read with her. My son and I, we're still reading everything. So we started in Marvel Fantastic Four number 1, 1961. And right now we're, depending on the series, we're somewhere between like 1969 and like 1973. We've literally read every Marvel superhero comic released since that time frame. So, and I've always long been a DC fan. I like Batman. I really do like Superman as well. I think the big 3 of DC stand is just massive characters, of course. Wonder Woman. I really like Green Lantern. I always like the Flash. So really the core of the Justice League. I think Aquaman is a cool character in his own right, and so on. So I want to see all these characters done proper justice and find good homes with owners, holding owners and media companies that will do the right things for the characters. And again, keep the comic book stuff alive. So keep the comics alive and interesting, because Marvel has not been a good steward of their print comic books for some time. As somebody that's been a longtime fan of the X-Men is really what brought me, like locked me into comics, and particularly Marvel comics in the 80s and then into the 90s, when like Jim Lee, we had Mark Silvestri, Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, like that group of artists, and towards the end of what would have been the end of the Chris Claremont run, X-Men was like the hottest thing. We had Todd McFarlane drawing Spider-Man. And it's like some of those were the biggest years of comics. And that's when I was in my heyday, like 12 years old or whatever, getting into that stuff. But man, the stuff they do with the characters today is just sometimes atrocious. All right, so let's talk about NASA's a little bit. So I've been thinking about this as well. So as the living room project is hopefully winding down, I'm considering, okay, what else do I want to try to accomplish next? Where am I looking to do some things next? What do I want to learn about? What do I want to showcase? What do I want to do with? Still got a super secret thing kind of brewing. We still have the screen in here that I still would like to change. I'd like to get probably to the 17:9 screen, match the native aspect ratio of the projector. But aside from that, I've been spending some time actually trying to consolidate a lot of our home technology use. So unfortunately, my wife remains the one holdout that she won't convert to Mac. She's got an iPhone, she's got an iPad, but she won't let go of her Windows computer. And so I'm really trying to migrate a lot of our core technology use over to Apple services. For me in particular, like I want to be more or less done with Microsoft services. I want to use iCloud instead of OneDrive. I want to lean heavily into I want to use Apple Notes in reminders instead of OneNote. And so I've mostly transitioned over. I've got my kids fully focused on their stuff, because they basically have phones and they have MacBooks for their schoolwork and stuff. So that stuff is all integrated. They were using some Microsoft services, but now they're all on iCloud. We leverage Apple Photos a lot. We generate a lot of photographic and home movie type content between all 4 of us now. And so for the longest time, I've had all of our phones, or my wife and I's phone actually, set to, with the OneDrive app loaded, OneDrive will automatically like scan your photo library on your phone, including an iPhone, and it'll look for any new photos and videos, and it will upload them to the OneDrive that you specify. So that OneDrive has been like our merged full photo repository. And then we have like a DSLR point and shoot camera that my wife uses as well for higher quality picture taking and stuff like that. So then we integrate those pictures in, and everything we'd kept everything in OneDrive. But we've got a lot of content there, and I kept having to buy more OneDrive space to fit it all. add another 200 meg or 200 gig, another 200 gig, another 200 gig, or whatever the size increments and stuff are. But I found lately that so the other thing that we do is then I use the Cloud Sync app on the Synology to connect to those OneDrives and pull all those files down. And then we interact with the NAS with our computers locally. So if we do file management, we delete something, we add something, the Synology should sync that up to the OneDrive. When our phones do the auto upload thing and push the photos into OneDrive, they sync down to the Synology, and then they're there. And then I can move them and put them into the folder structures and stuff that I prefer. We've got folders for every year, and then the months, and then activities and stuff within the month, stuff like that. And it's been broken. It's been broken for a while. I'm actually discovering it's probably been broken the better part of the year, and I didn't even realize it. It was not properly getting photos all the way through the system. It wasn't getting photos. It wasn't getting videos for whatever reason as well. I checked my wife's settings. Her photos were getting to the cloud, but videos that she took on her phone were not. None of her stuff was reliably getting down to the NAS, and the NAS was constantly getting the Cloud Sync app on the Synology was constantly getting stuck in this it was like freezing in a sync mode, and there's no way like stopping and restarting it didn't work. I'd have to completely decouple the Cloud Sync app from our OneDrive and then reinstall it and then reconnect it, and then it would work for a little while and then it would fail and it would stop syncing. And it's like there's too many moving parts to this whole endeavor that we're doing, and it's not proving to be as reliable as I would like it to be. And once the stuff is in OneDrive, we don't really have, we have the OneDrive, my wife and I have the OneDrive app on our phones, but my kids don't. And the way that I want to access all of this stuff isn't really through like Microsoft services anyway. I'd rather just have all of these photos be in iCloud, in our photo library. And in iCloud, Apple Photo Library, you can create what they call a shared library where you have a family. So the four of us are on a family. I'm the family administrator. In Photos, you can designate a shared library that everybody can put their stuff in, and then everybody can see and access that shared library. It works really nice. So everybody has their own personal library. So you take photos of little things for yourself, reminders, screenshots, whatever. That's not like family legacy stuff. I don't need every photo retained in our like family legacy photo library. I just need the important stuff, like the actual family activities and the family events and the memories and whatever. So it works fantastic that in Apple, everybody has their own photo library, and then we have a family shared library, and anybody can put content into the shared library. So we go to this corn maze pumpkin patch thing, and four of us different people, well, not my son, because he technically doesn't have a phone. He doesn't really take it with him. It's not cellular enabled. It's just a really dumbed down, very limited audiobook device is really what it is. But me, my wife, my daughter, we all take independent pictures, and then boom, we can just dump them into the shared library, and there they remain. So I think this is like and it's all cloud-based, it's safe, hopefully protected in our accounts and etc. I think that's a better structure. And then we can all get to it through the Photos apps on our phones, our tablets, our MacBooks, etc. My wife's the only one that's has to jump through a couple of hoops, but it's like, whatever. You want to be the Windows user, you're gonna have some compromises because of that choice. That's fine. We can work around it, but some things won't natively be as good as others. So that whole story, that main real thing is driving me to say I don't feel, or the Cloud Sync capability was really one of the things that was keeping me so focused on Synology. And it's not working. And I don't think that I need it to continue to work anyway. So that's really kind of decoupling me a bit from Synology. And I'm really, really drawn much more to the Unify NASs anyway now. The other thing that I tried to do with the Synology was I tried to install a Windows virtual machine on it. They have a virtual machine capability. It should have been really straightforward to load a Windows 11 VM, run it on the Synology, be able to remote desktop and connect to it. I don't need Windows much personally, but there are a couple important things that I still do need Windows for. The Control 4 Home Composer does not have a native Mac version. It's Windows only. So, but and I would like to get Parallels off my Mac, stop paying $100 a year for that software subscription, and just have a general VM somewhere else on the household. The NAS is the perfect place to put it. And I tried for weeks. For the life of me, I could not get the Synology to take like the Windows 11 install package and set up a VM. So that didn't work. And then the other thing that I was looking to do, the third main thing that I was really looking to do to harness on the power of the Synology was set up the Homebridge stuff, going back to Michael's original kind of comment, and connect Control 4 and HomeKit so that Apple Voice Control could be able to interact with our Control 4 system. And I never really got too far with it. I set up the Homebridge stuff. I never got the driver set up. It's going to be like, I had to buy it and I had to get my integrator to set up the driver. I think that was going to be like $250 or something to buy the driver. And then you got to bridge all this stuff. You got to map all this stuff. And by then it's like, okay, X4 is already coming. So why don't I just wait for X4? If Apple to Control 4 integration is going to work more natively, X4 to HomeKit, I don't need to jump through something else as a home bridge providing this capability. So all these more advanced things that the Synology could do, I'm either finding that I don't really need them, or they're not as reliable as I hoped that they would be to actually use them. And so that being the case, I really like everything that I've bought from Unify. So I love the interfaces. I love the power. I love the information. I love the control. I love the way it looks. I love the way it works. So I'm like, if a network-based element of my system can be put under the banner of Unify versus somewhere else like Control 4 or Synology or whatever, that's really where I'm leaning now. And so all I need my NAS to do is to be storage for like Techthusiasm, YouTube assets. I can get all of these photos loaded into iCloud and managed in the family shared library, but then I can still keep a cold storage version of them decoupled from any cloud service on that NAS as well, just in case something catastrophic happens with our Apple accounts. And it's probably better that the version of the copies of all of those photos stored on the NAS are actually decoupled from a cloud service, because then nothing can go wrong. They're mine. They're mine. They're here. They're under my physical and IT control. Microsoft isn't going to get rid of them. Apple's not going to get rid of them. There's not going to be any account problems, etc. I need to store a little bit of media still. I do have a little bit of local media available. Old things that I can't get anywhere else. Some 80s cartoons and some offshoot stuff like old Street Fighter anime, things like that, that really I don't think can really be found very easily on streaming platforms or Kaleidoscape or whatnot. So I keep a small collection of that on my NAS. I'll retain that, keep it on there. And that's really it. Some personal documents, backup and stuff like that. But again, it's probably better that be cold storage, not online connected anyway. I don't need that much storage to begin with. I think right now, if I add up on my NAS the amount of media, Techthusiasm assets, photos, and stuff that are on there, it's not even 10 terabytes. So I don't need 12 drive bays and 100 terabytes of storage and all this stuff. I just want a protected drive array. So drive or two potentially can fail, and I'm not going to lose the data. I can swap the drives and keep them up. So I've been looking a lot closer at the Unify NAS line, and they actually have new models coming out as well. 2 new models. One is due in October. I think one is due in December. The original rack-based Unify NAS is a 7-bay unit. It has 10G networking and stuff. It looks pretty powerful. I think they added a little bit more horsepower to the new models. There's an 8-bay and a 4-bay, an 8-bay 2U and a 4-bay 1U. They look really nice. The new ones coming as well actually have SSD. You can put an M.2 SSD cache drive in it, which I have in my Synology right now. Unfortunately, the original 7-bay UNAS doesn't allow that. And then the other big thing they changed is the 7-bay UNAS has the ports and like it has the little touchscreen. And so the information in the IO is really on the front, where the new ones, because they need all of that front real estate for 2U 8-bay or a 1U 4-bay, all of the ports and stuff are on the back. But the thing they did that messes my ability to use them is they're really deep. So the newer ones, because the front is basically just dry bays, and then all of the other stuff, the power supply, the probably the CPU, the main control board, all the IO are in the back. So they're deeper units, and because they're deeper units, their rack system it's like one of those, it's like rack rails where you have a rail that connects to the front of the rack and the back. Where are my hands? The front of the rack and the back of the rack, and then the unit kind of like slides into that rail. Well, I have those vertical watt box modules in my rack, and so I can't put something on rails because the vertical watt box thing is in the way of a full rack depth rail connecting to the back back of the rack. It's like, shoot. So I don't think I can even use one of the new ones if I wanted to. So I may just end up having to just get the original UNAS Pro, the 12-inch deep 7-bay one, which again, it's still plenty. And I'll pick up a drive to get started. One thing that I do love about Synology though is how flexible the SHR, the Synology hybrid RAID is, where you can actually take like drives of any size and you can RAID them and array them together. You can have redundancy and protection and stuff. They don't have that really in the UNAS, in the Ubiquiti drive management setup. So it's more traditional for arrays and stuff where you want all the drives to be the same size and whatnot, and that's fine. I have 3 18 terabyte drives. I think I have two 12s, 3 18s, and like 2 or 3 4 terabytes in that NAS right now. And so I figure what I'll just do is I'll pick up the NAS and I'll pick up 1 18 terabyte. I'll pull 1 18 terabyte out of the Synology, which will degrade the array. It won't have protection, but the data will still be accessible. I'll start or build the new array in the UNAS with those 2 drives, get it established, get the array established, get the file system established, copy the stuff over, move the stuff over from the Synology to the UNAS. And then when I destruct the Synology, I'll take the other 2 18s and put them in the UNAS. Then I'll have 4 18s, and I'll just sell the other drives, and I'll sell the Synology along with the M.2 cache drive can stay in there, the upgraded RAM can stay in there, and the 10G network card can all stay in there. So I'll just sell it as like a single upgraded unit. So I still like Synology. I think they make good stuff. But again, so here we go to a couple comments here. Curious what folks think about that. What are you using for a NAS? Anybody bought the Ubiquiti NASs? Have you used them? Are they easy to use? Are they as nice as the rest of the stuff seem to be? The other thing that I think about when I watch Ubiquiti is like, man, they're just dropping features and capabilities left and right for all of their stuff. And so the NAS isn't even, it's like a year old, maybe not even a year old. They're on like version 3 of its operating system, and they've added like really great capability every release. So Lawless is saying when it comes to NAS, it seems like Synology has stalled R&D and probably losing some market share. Been waiting years for significant upgrades, and Ubiquiti, yeah, they're making strides for sure. What are you doing with the fiber? Oh, I'm not doing nothing with fiber internet. The fiber, I think the fiber comment might have gone back to the television. I pulled, when we did this, in the process of this living room install, we pulled new fully fiber optic HDMI cables between the rack and the living room. So I'm very curious to see how those work. I hope I don't have any troubles with them. A newer product from RUI Pro. It's the powering, multiple cables and the powering that makes me nervous. I think I have a solution for it, but again, I can't really fully test it till I get the TV rehung and get things back up there. Greg, did I read that wrong? Yeah, Greg D, welcome. How do you calibrate your audio, DRAC, Odyssey, manually, something? No, so right now in all of my systems, both of my systems, the theater and the living room, are Anthem preamps. So I have an AVM 90 in the theater, and I have a STR preamp in the living room. So it's all Arc Genesis. That's all I use. Anthem's native solution, which I think is out of all of these systems, these auto systems, I think these auto systems, I think Arc Genesis is the top one. Very happy with the results of Anthem Arc and stuff, and then we'll see where we go next. But I still need to pick up a mic, U-mic or whatever, and play around with some REW, if not for like validation, and measuring some of the other stuff that Arc Genesis doesn't let you measure. I'd really like to know my decay times and some of the other things that it can do. So it's just another one of those things on the list that I got to get to. Julius asking, what initially directed you towards Apple ecosystem over Android? What I think cohesiveness, whereas Android is about the definition of the most incohesive ecosystem you can name, right? People like it, I think, because it's free, it's powerful, it's tweakable, it's tunable. You can plug and play and tinker, but I don't value that as much. I prefer more when a system is a little bit more closed, but with that comes an expectation of like cohesiveness and reliability and stuff like that. So the fact that like Apple makes everything that I would want to use, right? All within the system where everything works so cohesively together. My laptop, my tablet, my phone, my AirPods, my Apple TV, the services that run behind all of that stuff, CarPlay in my Explorer, like all this stuff is it's just so cohesive. It's so good. And so I value that a lot. When I find, especially when I find a very cohesive solution that covers a lot of the bases that I need and works really well and has just a certain consistency and reliability to it, I tend to stick with that. And I really enjoy that aspect of things. That's why, I Wattboxed everything, and Wattbox gave me the UPS. It gave me the protection. It's the same strips that I use in the rack. Our Wattbox. It's all connected. It's all online together. It's just awesome. It's a cohesive line that just brings a simplicity because of that. Same thing with Ubiquity stuff. Going to Ubiquity for my switch, my cable modem, my router, right? My network brain, my cameras, my doorbell, my NAS, and to come most likely, and more of the stuff that they offer as well that I don't use, but I would even consider, like the Zone Audio amps and stuff like that. There's just such a nice consistency to it all. When you get something or you get another piece, and that piece just works with the other pieces that you already have. And you get a new network thing on Ubiquity, you plug it in, you log into your UI dashboard, right? Log into your Dream Machine, and it's like it's right there. It's hey, I found this. This is part of our system. What do you want to do with it? Let's initialize it. Let's update it. Let's put it where it needs to be in the network and within the ecosystem. It's like, man, it's just so good. It's so good that way. And I've never found any other compelling value in Android. To me, that's more appealing than what Apple has provided for all the stuff. I think the iPad is absolutely fantastic. As a comic book reader, there's some things that I buy in print, and there's a lot of stuff that I get from the library I read in print as well. But a lot you still have to go digital to be able to access stuff easily. It's just such a great comic device. Love taking it places. It's just like there's just so many good things. And again, the experience is all cohesive. Greg asking, have you done anything with Home Assistant? I have not. I've never played with that. Between my use of like Apple stuff and Control 4, I don't have a need for Home Assistant. But I do see it mentioned a lot more. I feel like I see it mentioned a lot, and a lot more recently, like even within the last 12 or 18 months. Feels like a lot more of the DIY enthusiast crowd is tinkering around with and doing more with Home Assistant in their setups. There's always a decent amount of Home Assistant discussion on the Kaleidoscape owners forum as well, which is largely one of the only home theater discussion forums that I that I tend to frequent much anymore. But see a lot of it there because I think guys are they're tuners, tweakers, and I think it's a pretty powerful setup if you're not going over towards something more commercial or integrated like Control 4 or whatnot. But I haven't done anything with it myself. Our house is very Control 4 focused. It has been since we built it, kind of designed it into Control 4. So we have a lot of infrastructure around the house that's strongly Control 4 based. And it would be, at least the lighting for sure, it would be a challenge to change to something else at this point. But if I were to move, build a new house or move somewhere and set up like a blank slate technology infrastructure for the home, I don't know. I'd really have to look at my options. And I would be looking at everything, HomeKit, Home Assistant, retrofit Control 4 again, since I'm already familiar with it, stuff like that. All right, we're at 6:01. I'm about to head up and hang out with my son. We're going to play, I think we're going to try the PvP mode, player versus player mode of Marvel Champions for the first time. We beat through the weekend, we beat all of the scenarios in the new box set that just came out this month. So that was pretty fun, using the new heroes as well. So we're going to do some player versus player. I'm not super into the player versus player. I'd like the co-op thing more, but he really wants to try it out. So give that a run. And I think we need to work on our Halloween costumes as well. If everything comes together, you'll be seeing me in a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle costume, homemade Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle costume by the end of the week. But we'll see. 3 of these need to be made, and they look like a heck of a lot of work. So my wife and my son are the crafters. I'm not so much the crafter. We'll see if they get done in time, if I have a Halloween costume or not. But I'll participate and lend a hand and all that as well. So I hope everybody has a great week. Have a happy Halloween if you're partaking. I think, yeah, we'll get this painting done. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do for the vlogs. I actually have like the next vlog just about ready to go. If I recorded an outro kind of final statement to it, I probably could just go ahead and publish it. But then I think that's vlog 8. That would cover like the whole trim situation and the trimming out of everything to get us to where we are right now. I was going to put the painting in that same vlog, but now the painting's not going to happen till Wednesday, Thursday. Then Halloween is going to be Friday. So if I wait and I try to put the painting in, I'm probably not publishing that vlog until next week. And then, so I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I feel like I should just end vlog 8 with the trim. And if it's not the most interesting in the series, perhaps so be it. And then I just make vlog 9 the paint, which might be like a 5-minute video. And then we get on to the real fun stuff, getting the gear back in and installed. So I need to figure out what I'm going to do there. Got some other content ideas as well. And again, still working behind the scenes on some pretty big stuff that I hope to share and shed some light on and announce and whatnot coming up. So again, as you're getting into the end of the year here, if anybody's doing stuff in your systems, if there's ways and means and whatnot that I can help, please do get in touch with me. I'm talking to a couple guys right now, one a little west of here, that it's been fun. It's been like a year-long effort helping him kind of spec out all of his stuff, and he's been like adding elements to his room bit by bit by bit. He's like right at the cusp of kind of finishing it and making it fully functional. So that's going to be very rewarding to see that done, and have him in there enjoying it. Then I've got another person that I've been engaging with east of here, that's got a new build coming up, and there's some opportunities to put some cool stuff in there. So I love helping people out. It's the most rewarding aspect of the whole thing, interacting with folks and trying to give good advice and help people maximize what they're doing, maximize what they're spending to get the most value out of it, avoid spending on things that may not have the most impact or the biggest effect on their system. Try to take some of the knowledge and experience that I've gained doing this stuff and offer it up to everybody else. And again, continue to kind of grow the footprint. So those that love the Epson projectors and whatnot, I can get those now, furnish those now. I still personally recommend, and I'll be sticking with JVC, I think, but yeah, more to come on that whole endeavor. But the contact information is there, techthusiasm.com, or email to jeremy@techthusiasm.net. And if you're shopping as well, especially as we get into the holiday season, please use the affiliate links. It's so valuable. It's like such one of the most simplest and valuable things to ask people to do. If you just click, it doesn't cost you anything, but it's a nice boon. And much appreciated if you take the effort to do that. And happy to engage and help in any ways that I can to folks that are out there. So we'll be back with more. Thanks everybody for coming out, hanging out, all the great questions and comments. Love it, appreciate it, a lot of fun. And we'll talk soon. Coming back for more home theater discussion and fun. Thanks.